Hey, welcome back to the weekly wraparound. This is Hockey Hype Australia. We are part of the Hockey Hype Australia podcast network. You can find us at hockeyhypeaustralia.com.au and on the socials at hockeyhypeaus. I am joined by Gordon Goodenough, like every week. It's 2 podcasts in 4 days, GG. It's off the chain. But we're also joined with Todd Morris, Australian Women's Ice Hockey League commentator. Doesn't just commentate ice hockey, commentates basketball and a few other things. GG, you described Todd when we did back checks at banter the other night. You said him, what was it, arch nemesis, or you're trying to come up with the?
No, I said I didn't want to use the word arch nemesis, but it's the only word that came to mind, like colleague or co-worker. They don't quite fit. It's one of the voices of the league, Todd Morris. Yeah.
Look, we're definitely colleagues, and it's great to welcome you to the commentary fraternity. Obviously, your first gig. It's fantastic. It's a unique club, and I think we need to network a little better and share a little bit of resources. We probably haven't done enough of that, but it's great. It's a unique community, and welcome aboard. You guys have been doing a fantastic job on the games as well.
How have you found your transition into hockey?
Well, look, it's under no stretch of the imagination. I had a shaky start. It was very tough. It was a week before the first game. I think it was Sydney-Melbourne. I was told I was asked. Well, no, I was actually asked about a month prior to the season, and my instant response was no. I said, I don't know enough about hockey. I've never watched a game in full, and I think it'd be too quick to follow. And I think you talk to everyone about hockey, and their first thing is, how do you follow the puck? I can't see where it's going. What's the case? So that was my initial reaction. A week before, Lachlan from Clutch reached out to me and said, we need you. We've got nobody. We need somebody. You've got to step in. So that whole week, I just spent YouTubing, Googling, and doing everything. The hardest thing was you don't know what you don't know. So I didn't know what to learn. So I kind of was a bit blind, and I was just watching calls and games and watching the NHL and put everything together. And my first game absolutely sucked. I didn't understand how the zones worked, offside, how any of that happened. I understood what a power play was. I didn't know that there could be 3 people on the ice and 4 people, etc. And I was kind of counting them and working it out all on the fly. And I copped absolute barrage online, which was well deserved. But the best thing about that was I went through all those comments and I wrote down everything that they bagged me on. And I was like, okay, well, that's what I need to learn. Yeah, so I found out pretty quickly where my shortcomings were. And then I was able to then build on that week on week. And I must say, big shout out to Kylie. She's been a massive help. We would text pretty much pre and post game most weeks last season, and even this season as well, and late into the night as well. She's always up, super mum as well, and super mum of the league too. She always says she's got her mama bear instinct on and always loves to protect the girls. So she's been fantastic in my knowledge and learning everything. And look, it's been a work in progress, but there was one thing that I focused on, and that was just trying to do the game justice. And as you guys know, you guys have fallen in love with hockey a long time ago, and I'm quickly becoming that. The game's so dynamic, it's quick, the goals are miraculous, and I've even had some feedback when I've commentated a few of the games at home that I'm probably get a little too excited, but I love it. It's a great game to commentate, and I hope to do many more in the future.
So
what is just? Oh yeah. Sorry, dude.
I was just going to say, GG, I think that's a call for you to do some sort of YouTube tutorial on hockey, on hockey terminology and things like that.
Oh yeah, no, don't go to me about that one, mate. Yeah, No, I was just going to say, like with the other sports you've done, is there a comparable, or is hockey kind of on its own from a commentating perspective?
In terms of its uniqueness, obviously it is on its own. The goal excitement, however, is a little bit like soccer or football, depending on your persuasion, how you call it. I think because they're so rare, Well, not this season. There's been a few shootouts, but however, that part of it, I've done a little bit of football. I think you get up and about for that. But other than that, it's quite unique, especially the way that the lines change constantly, and it's ping-ponging around a lot of the time, and it's just trying to work out. I think early on in my season, I was just calling too much of the action, just following the puck too much, and it's just trying to zoom out a little bit and take it all in. However, I probably defaulted to doing that because I don't know much about the game in the beginning, to be honest, and I must confess, I still don't know a lot about the tactics of the game, and I'm learning every week, and you just get better. And now I must say, tune into the NHL, tune into the P-Dub. You probably boys won't like this. I've picked the Bruins, and then I've followed suit with Boston as well. And look, I'm an NFL fan, and I was a Patriots fan, so they've got a big link, obviously, Boston. So I stayed there, and they are glory hunters, of course. They had a great set. Well, knocked out in the finals early last year, but they've got a rich history, which I've been studying and I love, and I really enjoy any time that their game's alive. I haven't gone full nuffy and brought a hockey league pass yet for the Bruins. I only watch when it's on ESPN, but I really enjoy it.
Well, as a friend of mine says, and he doesn't like hockey, or he doesn't mind it, but he doesn't watch it. In terms of the tactics, all he says to me is that players skate up one end of the rink, they fall over, they get back up, and they skate up the other end of the rink, and that's pretty much the tactics of what hockey is. That's what he tells me, anyway.
Well, that's one thing I've really enjoyed about the game is the rules make sense. There's not too many of them, and the ones that are in place, the offsides and the icing, they just make complete sense. And so it really makes for a really exciting game. It's not over officiated, and I think that can get really frustrating. You look at the AFL and the direction that that's going. People are screaming out that the modern game is probably there's too many rules, interpretations of rules, and versions of rules. With ice hockey, it's pretty clear cut what's happening and what's going on. You can't do anything too bad to your opponent, and just make sure you stay within the zones. It's pretty simple stuff.
We've got a comment from Phil Taylor, obviously a photographer extraordinaire for the league. Just on your Boston choices, there's no hope for Todd. I agree, Phil. As a Leafs fan, I'm sick of seeing the Bruins. But no, it's great that you've gotten involved and into it with both the NHL and the PWHL. What are your early kind of takeaways from the PWHL?
Look, it's great. The uptake and all the games being sold out and the hype around that, it's been absolutely fantastic. I will be honest, I didn't know what to expect from a standard point of view. I will be honest, I haven't followed many of these players in their international journeys and their collegiate journeys. I hadn't followed any of that. So the first game I watched, and I waited for the Boston-Minnesota game. I didn't want to fall in love with another team. I said, I'm going to go for Boston, and we lost that first game, but it was great to see. They battled it out really well. They had a lot of chances. It was really skillful. To be honest, it was much more skillful than I expected. The physicality was quite huge as well. Obviously, they've got those changes of rules allowing a little bit more checking and so forth. And I really like the also with the rules around the penalty kills and when you're scoring. I think it allows for a lot of action. It's a really fast-paced game, and it's great. And the most thing I'm excited about, it's the pathway for our girls here in Australia. They've now got something that they can see. And the age-old saying, look, if you can't see it, you can't be it. And I think that's what I'm most excited about. There's now a clear pathway to being a professional. Obviously, there's been international and collegiate stuff, but now there's a way, and we talked about it in the break there, about the money involved to play this sport. And now there's an actual pathway where these girls can become professional, and that's what's most exciting for me.
Yep, couldn't agree more. And we did have exciting games on the weekend too in the Australian Women's Ice Hockey League, as we bring up the standings now after week 7 of competition coming out of the Christmas New Year break. We only had 2 games across the weekend. Melbourne Ice, they sit on top with 22 points. Perth Inferno second with 19 points. And Adelaide Rush Brisbane Lightning, Sydney Sirens, they didn't play on the weekend. Obviously, Adelaide rushing third on 14. Brisbane, 11 points. Sydney on 0 points. No wins yet at the moment. On Saturday, it was a shootout that Gordon and I called. Unbelievable game. Perth Inferno getting the 5-4 win. And on the Sunday, it was a Melbourne Ice 6-3 over to Perth Inferno, which Todd called on the commentary. Just for both years, what are your sort of takeaways before we get into our topics? What did you sort of like from the weekend's games?
Would you like me to? Oh, yeah, go ahead, Gordon.
Yeah, I'll let you go first, mate. It's the guest honors.
Well, first things first. Jealous. I didn't get to call the shootout. That's my dream, is to call games with shootouts. I've been lucky. I've called a few. So when I checked into the first period, and I had a few things on the Saturday, and it was an interesting contest, bit of a back and forth one. And then I checked in later, and I managed to catch the penalty shootout. And yeah, I was absolutely jealous because they're the most fun things to call is a penalty. But it was absolutely fantastic showing from both teams. Both teams that I think are really going to go deep into finals. It's going to be interesting to see how the rest of the season plays out and those teams jockey for position. One of the things I was super impressed with was on game day 2, where I obviously called the game, was Melbourne's ability to adapt in their game style. Last season, and I'll rewind a little bit more. Last season, I feel that they played a game style where they kind of just put the puck in deep and kind of chased and tried to forecheck a lot and get their goals that way. However, this season, they've been a bit more dynamic in that offensive zone. They've been able to shift the puck around a little better and make those chances. And all the goals that they scored in that game were early in the game. However, they were gritty and they were from that opportunity where they were cycling it around. But then there was a clear shift in the second and third periods where they knew that the Inferno's attack, the way that they score is generally on the rush or the breakaway. They're able to then shift and put a lot of their girls behind the puck and really take that defensive zone. I thought their contrasting game styles was brilliant. That second and third period, they'll be able to defend that defensive zone. They wore a ton of shots in that period, though. However, they were able to defend. And I even said on the broadcast something that, I didn't see that often throughout my journey in ice hockey. At one stage, they had all 5 players almost on the crease in the D defending the goal, including the goaltender as well. And it was such a team defensive effort, and it was great to see. But Perth are really one to watch. Their firepower is amazing, and just the way that Melbourne was able to squash that in that second game, I thought was brilliant in that second and third period. That second period was unbelievable. I had to take a big glass of water in the break because I was exhausted from calling that one.
Yeah, no, it was a couple of good contests. I think Melbourne did quite well, particularly in the second game. I wasn't sure how their legs would be feeling. They traveled on the Saturday, a big day, big game. Going down in overtime. You're always thinking, well, how are they going to respond? What's kind of the character of the team? And Perth were pretty keen to win the game. I think. Head coach Graham Hyde, put Sasha King in back-to-back to try to, get that top of the table kind of spot. It means a lot, even at this stage of the season, I think. But yeah, Melbourne did quite well. Yeah, they got ahead early on, and then Perth really came at them in that second period. But Melbourne did enough to hold on, and I think that showed. Melbourne showed a lot to me this weekend, and I think Marnie Pullen had a fantastic game on the Saturday, again on the Sunday. Such a key part of that team, and hearing her during the timeout, revving the team up was quite good as well. There were a few F-bombs and whatever thrown in, which is always a good time. But yeah, there were a couple of really good games, and I tell you what, if we get that as a gold medal game in the finals, I don't think anyone will be too disappointed, or neutrals will be too disappointed by that.
When I thought about it, and the first topic that we're going to talk about tonight is is it a final preview? Because when I thought about my thoughts on the weekend, it was a real arm wrestle for majority of both of the games. And one of the other players I just wanted to highlight and I thought had a terrific weekend and is having a terrific season is Steph Conlon from the Melbourne Ice, who's got 12 points on the season, got 3 points on the Sunday game, including a goal. Is going into it, Gordon? We spoke to the two head coaches in the lead up to it, and they expected it to be games of the season. The two top teams going at each other. Could we have seen a potential final preview across the weekend in Perth?
Look, Adelaide and Brisbane are going to have a lot to say about it. And Adelaide for me, there's not too many teams that have two goaltenders where you're like, yep, either one where will play a really strong game. Adelaide is one of those teams. So based on that, and because the finals format is so short, just 2 games, if you're on a heater as a goaltender, you can take your team, you can win games. So, but on paper, yes, I think Perth, Melbourne, I think they've. It'll be interesting the second half of the season, but Perth is going to come home, I think, with a bit of a wet sail because they played a lot of their away games in the first half. So they have, out of the 6 games left, I think they've got 4 at home. So I think that they'll be in that top 2. Come finals.
Yeah, definitely. I'd have to agree with you there. Just having a look at the schedule, they've got a pretty friendly schedule. They play Sydney 4 times. Now, Sydney's a sleeping giant. We know how great they are. They've just had a bad rub of the green at the start of the season, and they're a young team, and they're finding their way. It's funny to say that on the back of last season, but Perth have them 4 times, and I think that's just going to give them that edge. And if they can secure a second spot, and that's not to say Melbourne could drop, however, because they are a great team, but they could be defeated by Brisbane or Adelaide, and they could drop. But I think if Perth can lock in that first or second spot, they've just got that nice draw coming home. And as you said, a lot on home ice as well. So it is a huge potential for that to be the grand final game, if they do finish first and second seed, they still have to win their finals. We saw last season Perth getting up to win the bronze and making that playoff from 4th position was fantastic. So it'll be interesting to see how it works.
So those
oh yeah, sorry, no, I was just going to say those Adelaide Melbourne games are going to be sensational.
Yes,
they play each other 4 times to finish the season, and it gives you kind of a litmus test for both teams really. But I'm interested in Adelaide. They got off to a real flyer, but they played Sydney 4 times in that stretch too. So yeah.
Yeah, so they'll both have a break next weekend for week 8 of the A-Dub, and then they will play. Yeah, Adelaide will travel to Melbourne to play Melbourne. I think one of the scary things that I noticed across the weekend too is Melbourne Ice had their power play going, so they were able to score on the power play. I think twice on Sunday, once on the Saturday. If they can start taking advantage of the man advantage, especially when you got players like Butler and things like that, Godfrey obviously on power plays, that's pretty scary.
Yeah, and the goaltending, between Piers, Best, and Carson, Melbourne are pretty comfy in goal. I do want to mention though, Brisbane is I think the way that the league is now, I can't remember a time where the top 4 teams was so closely matched. Brisbane are they certainly, we've had chats with head coach Matt Meyer, and they certainly see themselves as a championship contender, and they've got fantastic weapons. I think Emma Wuthridge has been a sensational addition to the league this year. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But on paper, I think Perth Melbourne at early running for final preview.
And Perth obviously did get the win on the Saturday. And one of the highlights from that game was Sarah Salmon's goal. Gigi, you're smiling already because I called it. For me, it was goal of the year, goal of the season so far. Well, I know we had Kirsty Venus's unbelievable coast-to-coast goal, but just the explosiveness of Salmon's, just being able to burst clear. I don't think there's anyone like it in the league who's able to do that and just create something from nothing from the defensive end like that. And in the last 5 games, Salmon's put up 18 points for the Perth Inferno. So firing, and obviously had that big 8-point game, but firing on all cylinders on the offensive front. And we've got that goal. We'll chuck it up now with Gordon's superb commentary to match.
Area is Godfrey, the goal scorer. She takes a skate through the face-off circle. Stolen now. And Salmons is away. Here's Salmons. Look at that speed. Cuts across and scores.
It's just an unbelievable goal to steal the puck from the defensive end, fly past a player, and then put it 5-hole. Just unbelievable.
Who was, I didn't quite catch it there. Who was chasing? Was that Danielle Butler? Well, can you bring that up just quickly again?
Yeah.
Because
Is Godfrey, the goal scorer. She takes a skate through the face-off circle. Stolen now. And Salmons is away. Here's Salmons. Look at that speed. Cuts across and scores.
And they're both speedsters. What a race, but Salmon's unbelievable.
Yeah, Isabella Raimundo was the one that probably had a couple of strides on her at the center ice mark, and Salmons just blew her away. Yeah, we've said it before, Doogie. I don't know if there's a faster skater in the league. I know Christina Julien has fantastic acceleration. I put Christina Julien's acceleration up with anyone, but for pure top end speed, it's I don't know if there's anyone better than Salmons.
Here's an idea for the league: grand final sprint on grand final weekend. I think Cebulski you could put in the mix. Butler's pretty quick. Salmons. I'd love to see them go head to head. Actually, that'd be quite interesting. I do think Salmons gets the gold medal, but be great to watch. However,
where does that goal rate for you, Todd? You got that one. You got the Venus one.
Well, look, a bit of content for you boys at the end of the season, putting together a goals package. I'm sure people could vote on them, but that's definitely up there. That breakaway, the steal, and working. Me personally, I'm starting to really fall in love with the goals from the blue line or the big shots from distance. They're my favourites. And if there's going to be a goal of the year, I'm going to go early, and it hasn't happened yet, but I reckon DeFore is going to put one home from that blue line. She hits that puck like I've never seen. Well, any of the players. And I haven't watched hockey long, but I can tell they are humming with some speed. So just mark that one down. I think DeFore is going to be a contender. It hasn't happened yet, but I think she's going to get one from real deep. But yeah, that's definitely one of the goals of the season. And look, commentator to commentator, well called as well. They're always tough because you're so excited on the breakaway. You don't know what's going to happen next, and you called the cut back lovely, and to go 5-hole as well, like you said, it's just unbelievable. And especially to do that against Piers as well, who's phenomenal one-on-one, we saw in the penalty shootout, makes it even more sweeter.
Yeah, I've had a couple where while I'm calling the goal, because I'm so excited, I do like a little like so it's like and then it's quite terrible actually. But
sometimes you don't know whether to cheer or call the action. That's where I find the tough one. I end up just saying a big yes or something like that. But yeah, that was unbelievable goal.
Yeah, no, it's definitely top 5 of the season for me, Doogie. I still put Kirsty Venus number 1.
That was a lovely one too. That was against the right-hand wall coming in. That was also a fantastic goal as well.
I'm just glad that you got the name correct, GG, on the goal. That's no, you didn't get it confused with someone else. So that's,
Well,
So,
look,
so
now
yeah,
that there's two play-by-play callers in this chat, Doogie, you do specials. That's the challenge. It is tough. I've got them wrong, and I'll probably continue to get them wrong. I'm not going to be perfect, and I'm sure Gordon comes in the same boat there. So, if you want to roll, we get in the play-by-play and try and call some of that action, especially the ones that are close to goal where they're scrapping for it. Very hard to pick sometimes.
yeah. No, it's Doogie's done me dirty a couple of times and put up highlights of Scala scoring and me calling it Malcolm because Scala has the jersey tuck, so it makes her 27 look like a 77.
And you know, it's tough as well. Laprent, the 22, the 2 at the top looks like the 7. And when there's the jersey tuck, I hope nobody picked it up, but I called Laprent Scala a few times there on the weekend, and just kicking myself when you finally work it out. And they're similar shapes as well. Both quite taller players, so tough to pick. But the 22 of Laprent and the 27, and also Malcolm as well, the 7. It's tough. Girls, don't worry about the style points. Get your jerseys untucked.
I've got a number 22 Tony Lappin jersey actually from last year's Hockey Fights Cancer. The jersey they did with Cancer Council WA. So it is a beauty. But yeah, I'm glad. Yeah, I agree. The jersey tuck, come on. But I did suggest that to head coach Graham Hyde, and he's like, I'm not going to ask her. I'm not going to ask her. I did it joking. He's like, I'm not going to do that for you, buddy. Like, so.
And let's face it, if I played hockey, I'd probably do it too.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you're on YouTube, we're live on YouTube and Facebook. Drop us a comment. If you've got a comment for Todd as well, who's our guest tonight, just drop a comment on your thoughts on the weekend. We'd love to chuck them up on the screen, so don't be shy. The next item on the ticket tonight, Lakoviak comes up big, a massive shootout goal. We've got the clip of the winner. We'll play it and then we'll have a chat about Lakoviak. Just an impressive talent.
Molly Lakoviak winding in. Shot and scores! Molly Lakoviak has put the Inferno ahead.
GG once again with some great commentary there on the goal. Lakoviak's put up 6 points. I put up points in her last 6 games, including obviously the hat-trick against Adelaide. We spoke to Graham Hyde during the week on the lead up to the game, and they rate Molly Lakoviak so high as an 18-year-old, and national team honours, and also has captaincy material as well.
Yeah, he was pretty effusive with his praise, wasn't he? And she's the kind of player, he's told us this before, like there's a photo that we have, I think it's between her and Alison Carlisle. They're standing up to each other, and Carlisle has about a head of height on her. And I asked him about that photo, and he's like, Molly Lakoviak she will stand up to anyone, and she'll just laugh in their face. Like she will protect her teammates. Anything that happens, she jumps in defense of her teammates. Like, and she produces like no one's business from both the blue line when she was playing D in that series against Adelaide, and then she had to switch to the wing when Scala retired from the game due to injury. So and scored the game winner in that game. So it's like, what more could you want from a player? Like the ultimate versatile player.
Yeah, definitely second all of those praise of Molly Lakoviak, and such a great person as well. I was lucky to meet her in finals last season in Melbourne, and an absolute jet. Great human as well, really humble person, and great to see play. And I'm really happy that I commentated last season, and I've seen her journey, her games last season to this season. She's just really come leaps and bounds, and everybody knows that she's going to be a one for the future and a future leader and all these sorts of things. But it's really been obvious, and that's happened. And to be able to stand up and nail that winner shows a lot of mental fortitude. I reckon that's be the hardest thing to do, right? Is to score a penalty in such a game that was first versus second and a lot at stake. Just a true testament to her character. And like you said, always protecting her teammates. She's always there, protecting her goalie, always protecting the teammates. But her skills are brilliant, and she's versatile as well. As sometimes she's thrown back in defense, she'll play that the wing, always closest to the camera, the left wing. She does that job really well, and just brilliant to watch.
Shows really good leadership, and like being able to just jump up into a forward line midway through a game if someone is injured or can no longer take part in the game. So shows really good leadership. And Gordon, we'd spoken about it, how she can jump on a power. Like the fact that the Inferno have got the ability to run a power play, and you've got Molly Lukoviak as almost a quarterback as the one defender on the power play, but she's not really a defender. She's definitely a forward who can get up and score goals and score them from anywhere. So it's a big weapon for the Inferno to have.
Yeah, and also I remember having a chat with head coach Graham Hyde around the Stephanie Boxall Championship when Perth hosted, and they had experimented. They juggled the lines a little bit, and they had Molly Lukoviak playing with Michelle Clark-Crumpton and with Elizabeth Scala, because last season she kind of didn't play often on the top lines. She kind of was so didn't see 20 minutes of ice a game. Whereas now playing as a blue liner, which is where Graham Hyde he's like, unless they have a clear need, which they did when Scala was injured a couple before the break, she'll play on the blue line. And I think having someone like that for 25-30 minutes a game, just what a gift. As you say, they can just plays good sound defensive hockey, but can also score and assist, has that scorer's mentality and IQ. And we've got a comment here from Danielle King. She's watching the show slightly on delay due to getting home from work late, but I just wanted to comment that the crowd on Saturday was just amazing. The seats were filled. People were sitting in the stairs as well, cheering loud, and standing room around the glass just filled with faces and banging on the glass. So amazing to experience. Huge shout out to Danielle King for that. Yes, that was amazing. I know it was Michelle Clark-Crumpton's 50th game, and Dan Crumpton was in attendance from Canada, had flown out to watch the game. If I talked to Graham Hyde about this. If that was the first game you attended as a fan, you're hooked for life.
Yeah, I agree. And I think there was a very, very healthy crowd there for the Sunday game as well, Todd. When I tuned in, I was doing bits and pieces on Sunday, but I tuned in for parts of the period, and that's what I could see as well. People standing around the glass, same sort of scenes.
Definitely, and it really comes through on the game day microphones as well, and you can really get around that. So it really helps the broadcast as well. You really feel the atmosphere, but great to see people showing up to these games. We know that the barriers to entry around the cost, if you can support these clubs by buying tickets, buying drinks, buying food, buying merchandise, raffle tickets, chuck a puck, all those things, if you can get in and support these clubs, we're just gonna keep going leaps and bounds. The development's going to be great, and just beautiful to see so much attendance.
And on Sunday, the game that you called, Todd, we seen another Danielle Butler masterclass, 4 points, including a hat trick. The Melbourne Ice get the win. That's 15 points for Butler in the last 6 games. We'd spoken about it, I think, GG, on our last weekly wraparound before the Christmas break, that she was on a heater. Started off the season slow in terms of points, getting points on the board, but in the last eight games, or however many games, she's actually really heating up, and we've seen that again on Sunday.
Massively. Hat tricks don't come easy, and for her to be able to score that was great. And I feel that the start of the season, Melbourne Ice this year compared to last year, change of tactics. Also, she was missing Sarah Dash, Van der Wolf, and they would hunt in packs. They would forecheck a lot. It really suits her game, the pace and being able to get up there. This time, they're more of an offensive zone team. They like to lock it in and really move the puck around and so forth. And I think it just took her a little bit of time to adapt to that. Now that she's adapted, she's found our spot and working it out. And one thing that's been interesting as well, Melbourne have been really dynamic in their lines. They've changed them a fair bit. The first line that she was on, she had Conlon, obviously herself, Aparicio, Marnie, and Dufour. Marnie Pullen being obviously promoted into that line changes the dynamic as well. It creates a couple of different looks, and that first line they've changed it a bit. She's always been obviously side by side with Conlon, but Dufour entering the team, Marnie as well. It really gives those three forwards, having Marnie and Dufour at the back, a really confidence to stay up and be able to put pucks on net and put shots on. And I think she's just now getting that game plan, under wraps, getting in the right spots. And the majority of goals were from close. And they were all, last dig efforts right on the crease. And she just played absolutely brilliant. Big shout out as well. We talk about Butler on a heater. Danielle Butler's family is absolutely amazing. Met them in Melbourne. They were down from Canada. Super, super nice people. Danielle Butler's mum, absolute superstar. She said that she always laughs at our Aussie accent commentating the game. One of the calls that she loved the most was the wraparound funny. The show's called the Weekly Wraparound. I think I referred to one as a cheeky wraparound, and she thought that was the funniest thing she's ever heard in the Aussie accent, saying a cheeky wraparound. So shout out to Danielle Butler and the Butlers, especially her mum. She's an absolute lovely lady.
Well, GG, we do have footage of the third goal, and you can take a break because it's Todd on the mic with the third goal.
I was about to say, I'm getting set up here, all Gordon's goals. Just give me some of my own work, please.
So Butler at the back door, unmarked, gets the puck and works one home.
Irvine was there in defence. Puck behind the net. Melbourne looking to cycle it here. Goes into the slot. Saves. Sasha King. Butler put it home. And that's a hat trick for Butler. Great work. And another gritty goal for Melbourne there.
So great call, Todd.
I don't know about you, Gordon, but listening back to your own calls is absolutely the worst, isn't it? It's torture. Having said that, though, another great goal. That was an important part of the game as well. The score there, obviously, they move ahead to 4, make it 4-1, but Perth were reeling. That was 13 minutes into that second period, and Perth even then responded from that. They put a lot of pressure on and attacked heavily, and they got a goal back of their own. But great timing, and Butler was there on that far post, and a role that she probably didn't play a lot of last season. A bit of a different look, but brilliant goal nonetheless.
GG, what did you make of Butler across the weekend?
Yeah, well, we talked about it early in the season that there were some opportunities that last year Butler was putting them away, and she was getting breaks and it wasn't going in, but we both said that we were pretty confident that things would click and she would be fine, and we look all right for that prediction, don't we, Diggy? But you mentioned on Saturday that a key player for you would be for each team. One was Butler for the Melbourne Ice, and she certainly left her mark on the weekend.
I think it's a sign of a really good player. When you come out of last season, Butler was burst onto the scene, because I remember speaking to Rod Johns, and they were like at the training camps, I suppose you can call them, leading up to the season and things like that. They were like, who is this Butler girl? What's going on here? So jumping out of the blocks last season, people would have done homework over the off season leading into this season And the fact that Butler's been able to battle through that was probably, I suppose, part of the reason why the points on the board weren't there to start the season, probably battling through different tactics and trying to get free and things like that. And I think it's a sign of a really good player that she's able to come out the other end. We spoke about, well, Gigi, you mentioned it a few times now about the two goalies for the Melbourne Ice, Michaela Pearce, Janelle Carson duo. Across the weekend, Pearce saved 41 of 45, Carson 38 of 41 shots. Just two outstanding goaltenders. And when you think about teams going deep in the finals, I think you really need to have two strong goaltenders across the season to go deep into the finals. I think it really does make a difference. And it could be the difference between the Melbourne Ice lifting the trophy and not lifting the trophy if their goaltenders can play like this together and sort of share the roles across the weekends.
Yeah, I mean, they were the best goaltenders in the league last season, right? The Melbourne Ice were pretty sweet heading into finals. Yeah, and I mean they're just a steadying presence. They give you confidence. That even if there's a breakaway chance or a rush chance the other way, that your goaltender can bail you out 9 times out of 10. So yeah, they've been sensational. I'm so pleased for Janelle Carson. I think she's a fantastic goaltender. She didn't make her debut this season until quite late. I think they split between Best and Pearce for the first few weeks. I think she came in against the Lightning. That was her debut game. But I'm just pleased for Carson.
I'll stir the pot here. I may not get a lot of like with this, but Swayman and Ullmark. We're going with Sway and Ullmark, similar to the Bruins goaltending pair, Pearce and Carson. Just throwing it out there for all the fans of the show. They're definitely a great duo, dynamic, and Doogie. Totally agree with what you're saying. Finals time. They're going to have this combo, and coming into late in the season, it just makes all the difference. And there really is no difference. I'm great that they seem to have it worked out between them. Who goes on the Saturday, who goes on the Sunday? Generally, Pearce gets the Saturday and Carson gets the Sunday. I think they've got that kind of sorted out between them, and it's great that they're doing it by committee and they're doing it well. The defense doesn't change with either of them in goal. They continue to be strong, and what a luxury it is for the Melbourne Ice. And having said that, though, Best, the young goaltender coming through as well, also a great talent. They've actually got 3 good goaltenders there in Melbourne. Absolute luxury.
Just before we move off these two Melbourne Ice goaltenders, just touch on the Perth Inferno. They went with Sasha King on the weekend for both games. You can understand why you'd do that, go with the hot hand, the best goaltender in the competition this season, 2 shutouts. Do you think we'll see they've got a trip to they got the Sydney Sirens, coming to WA in a couple of weeks? Do you think we'll see Vivian Vu get one of the starts?
I think so. I think that's the move. I think they looked at the fixture. They saw that they had Sydney coming up 4 times. Vivian Vu probably gets a lot of minutes in those clashes. Having said that, though, another fantastic goaltender on her own, in her own right, does really well between the pipes. However, Sasha King is probably one of, if not the premier goaltender in the competition. The amount that she has to deal with, the amount of shots that she has to take on, and her ability, her glove is absolutely fantastic. She gloves saves like no other in the competition. She's absolutely brilliant. But yeah, I agree with that sentiment. I probably think Vu gets a bit more of a start against Sydney, depending on some of the results and how those games look.
You think Vu will start the Saturday, the first game, Gordon?
Well, you kind of look at the eligibility that you need to have for finals, right? Where I think as a goaltender, they've changed it. It's a little bit less. It's what, like 25%, I think, is the percentage of games that you need to play in. And certainly, if we were to continue the ratio to the end of the season, I don't know if we would qualify for finals. So yeah, you would certainly think that she'd get a few starts probably to end the season, and it'll give her confidence. I think it'll give the team a bit of confidence as well. As she kind of settles into things. She was definitely in that game against Adelaide. I know it was 9-8, but she was the busier of the two goaltenders, and was able to get her first career AWIHL win. So I'd like to see kind of more of that. Yeah.
And the last thing that we've got on the topics here, as we said before, if you got any comments, drop them in the chat. Leave us some comments from the weekend and the games and the ones leading up. Both teams split trips. This goes back to the Perth Inferno travelling to Melbourne, getting a split weekend. The Melbourne Ice travelled over to WA, get a split weekend. Understand that the Perth Inferno played the Melbourne Ice technically not at their home ice. Don't know whether or not that played too much of a difference in the results, but it probably shows how evenly matched these two teams are. That on their home ice, it's a split weekend for both teams. An arm wrestle across the two games. Your thoughts, GG?
Well, it's a split weekend, but you fall further behind in the standings, right? Like you pick up two points out of 6. So, overall 5 points out of 12 for Perth against Melbourne, 7 points out of 12 for Melbourne over Perth. That could end up being the difference between first and second at the end of the season. We'll see, but I think it's so hard, and we've had comments from different coaches saying this. It is so hard to travel away and sweep a series as the visiting team. So I think it's a testament to both Perth initially back in November when the scissor lift battery had issues, but thankfully you were on hand to call the game, Todd.
First of an 8-up radio call.
Yeah, I know, right? And then for Melbourne to travel on the day and on the Saturday and pick up a win on the Sunday, I think is pretty outstanding. So yeah, I think a good effort for both teams.
Yeah, it's one thing to be said for Perth. You look at their record last season, and then to be able to split against the Melbourne Ice this season, tremendous achievement. That comment about the points there, very interesting. Just the hypothesizing, if these two teams do finish first and second, there's no easy games. If you play the Rush or Brisbane Lightning, raffle it. So first and second spot could be really important. Both the Rush and the Lightning are fantastic teams and can beat these two clubs on their day and have beaten them in the past. So it'll be very, very interesting to see. That top spot could be super, super important.
That's actually a good segue, Todd. I've added another topic in for tonight just before we close it out. As we do look ahead to this weekend's games, it's Adelaide Rush and the Lightning, 3rd v 4th. It's two massive, massive games in Adelaide. Two teams on their day, we've seen it from both of them, can put up big scores, can outplay the opposition. The Adelaide Rush are very, very impressive. The Lightning, they've just got sharpshooters all over the ice. Tracy McIntosh can shut the door. You got the Rush with their goaltenders as well that can shut the door. It's shaping up to be a couple of really, really impressive games.
Yeah, I think there'll be some great games. Obviously, the series that they had at the start of the season between the Rush and Lightning in Brisbane, that was a fantastic series. I think the first game went to overtime, and the Rush pipped them. But there will be a few players missing, I think, for the World Youth Olympic Games in Gangwon, Korea. So Grace Kalambokis, I think, for the Adelaide Rush will be missing, and Georgia Watts and Katie Meyer for the Brisbane Lightning, and Phillies picking the Octonauts to win that series.
Yeah, going to be a great one. You look forward to each week in the AW. There's surprises around every corner, and I think this will deliver a few of those, and it's an opportunity for a few players to stand up in the absence of those that are going away to the Youth Olympics. And so tough to predict. I think maybe a split on this one as well this weekend. If Brisbane can steal a victory on away ice, I think they'd be wrapped with that result. But yeah, it's just another great weekend of AW hockey. I can't wait to get amongst it, to be honest.
I think, GG, just a sort of final comment from me. I'd love to get your comment as well. These two blue lines, I think that's going to be that's something that I'm really looking forward to from this weekend. The two blue lines for both teams.
Brisbane has that kind of. I don't know if there's a bigger, stronger blue line in the competition. You know, you look at the players that they have: Alison Carlisle, Tracy Hokert, what a legend she is. Jamie Goonan, Samantha Brophy, Katrina Rapchuk is such a sensational kind of end-to-end player. It's unreal. And Adelaide, Kirsty Venus and Maya Tupper. I don't know if there's a better puck carrying duo in the league. I think it's going to be sensational. Adelaide certainly have not been afraid to activate the D to be able to just send one of Tupper or Venus deep into the offensive zone. It makes for really good hockey because it's how do you game plan for that as a coach? You can try to take advantage and think, well, there's space, but the Adelaide forwards are so smart, like Nat Ayres, Kate Tahima. They're so defensively responsible players that they take up that position at the blue line while one of Venus or Tupper is in deep. So it's going to be really intriguing. I think you've really hit the crux of what could decide the series is the blue line.
And Gordon mentioned that Todd Maya Tupper, as a defender, there's only been one game this season, hasn't put up a point. For the rest of them, it's been a goal or an assist somewhere in there. Just an unbelievable skater, smart with the puck, high hockey IQ, just in the right spots. What have you seen from Tupper?
I haven't had the pleasure of doing many Adelaide games this season. I haven't seen a lot. However, from what I have watched, I totally agree with that. And Adelaide's been super impressive. They've had some great additions to their team from last season. And they're another team that's just improving. The competition is getting so much tighter. There's that log jam on the ladder there. And these teams are still vying for potential second position as well, and potentially first. There's only a point between it. It can take any team getting in a run of form and getting some wins, and we know that any team can beat anyone on any day. So it's just going to be brilliant end to the season. And I think we're splitting these games. You guys are doing one, I'm doing one. I'm not sure. I'll have to start doing my research, get in touch with the powers that be. But I can't wait to start breaking this one apart.
Yeah, it's going to be two awesome games. I think that just about does it, I think, for the night. What do you reckon, GG?
Were we doing under 18 Women's World Championships?
We can talk about it if you want. We can do whatever we want, mate. And if Todd wants to hang around, he can hang around.
So congratulations to the the Junior Flyers, the under 18 women's team. Tough result overnight, to be honest. They were up 2-0 after a period and hadn't allowed a shot on goal, and then got into some penalty trouble and ended up losing to Chinese Taipei 3-2. Now, if Korea had have upset Spain this morning, Australia would have been relegated. But thank you, Spain, for defeating Korea 3-1. which meant that we were in a 3-way tie. I'm not going to break it down for you because I've already bamboozled Doogie and the rest of the people in the Slack chat. But basically, we finished fourth with the tiebreaker, and I think that is a fantastic result. I was worried that we would be relegated after seeing the first two games, 15-0 to Norway and 9-0 to Spain, 2 defeats, and not scoring against Poland either. So I think just staying up is a fantastic result and will help us to grow. I think we saw that with Spain in 2 years ago. Spain was promoted ahead of us, and then Spain last year, managed to stay up. They finished third. They didn't beat anyone outside of Korea and Taipei. And then this year, they narrowly missed out on gold and promotion and finished second. So congratulations to the team. Congratulations to Remy Harvey too for her first tournament as coach. Congratulations, or big thank you to Tamara Jones for all the work that she put into the program. Which this success is being built off of. So yeah, fantastic result. I'm pumped for next year.
Yeah, Todd touched on it earlier about the PWHL and something to aspire to. I've got a piece coming out this week that relates back to just a sort of column opinion piece, relates back to the U18s and the young girls and women that can aspire to the PWHL. For me, I think I didn't get to watch a whole heap of it. I get up for work at 4:30, so it's not great. Doesn't sort of correlate with my sleep times. But I did watch bits and pieces of it. Watched the game on Saturday. I think the big highlight for me was obviously the shutout, the 3-0 win. And we've seen Amelia not play in the A-Dub. To get a shutout at a World Championships is unbelievable. I think surviving was probably the first thing that would have been on the list of what they wanted to achieve. Just don't get relegated, survive in the group. I think they showed that they can compete at the level. Just super proud of them. I don't know your thoughts, Todd, at all on the World Championships.
I did manage to tune in and out at times. Funnily enough, even though I'm a commentator, I found it hard to follow with no commentary. Probably should have been commentating it myself in my head. Having said that, though, tough. And obviously that camera angle from really far and away, I was up in the stands, and the cameraman had a bit of issues with altitude sickness by the end of the tournament. But no, I did tune in and out, and fantastic to get a win. And obviously with the ladder positions, the ability to then stay in this division can only mean good things for the girls that are coming through and the development of our youth in the sport. I think it's just, and I think it's mentioned all the time, but if we could get more funding around it, and there's, plenty of work going on in the background. I was lucky to interview Adam Wilno last season, and I know that he's doing a whole heap and raising awareness for the sport and doing all those sorts of things. So I think it's only strength to strength, and the better divisions we play in, iron sharpens iron, as they say, and you're only going to get better and better. So, brilliant to see, great showing, and always good to get a W at Worlds and stay up in your division.
And a player that I'm pretty big on, Hannah Cryan. I was actually rapt to see Cryan pick up a couple of assists, a couple of points across the World Champs. Hopefully coming back to the A-Dub can really kick on as well.
And double wattage. Georgia Watts with 2 goals against Chinese Taipei in the first period. So shout out to her. I know she missed out on the last tournament due to injury, and they made a special, recognition saying that yes, you're being selected to the team. It was a nice gesture just to say you would have made it if you weren't injured. And comes in and I know, talking to Remy Harvey before the tournament, I asked her, is there a player that we should watch out for? And she mentioned Georgia Watts as being one, just for the sake that she's got so much talent, and she was excited to see what she would bring. And Georgia Watts is, of course, going to be on that World Youth Olympic team. She's going to be, I'm looking forward to seeing Georgia Watts 3-on-3 with that extra space. It's going to be unreal. It's going to be great.
And Natasha Doob with the hat trick as well, playing over in Ottawa at the moment. I think Natasha's 16 years old, if that's correct. So that's what such an exciting talent for Australia.
And it's her third under-18 World Championship at 16. Like, how ridiculous is that? This is Jared Arps. The good thing with staying up in this division is that there is a big retention rate from this year and available for next, keeping the momentum. Yes. So that's something that I know Tamara Jones, really preached with the coaching staff, and, give Romy Harvey credit. She's been a part of that staff for a while, of selecting like 4 or 5 each year, 15-year-olds to enter the program, so that you do have that kind of 70%, retention rate from year to year. So yeah, good pickup, Jared.
And I think that's a really good comment, because it's the foundations have been set there. So the foundations with the program has been set there. Now, if we can get the continuity, and if you can stay up in these divisions, you're not only going to the retention rate, but you're going to be playing against quality opposition. And when you play against quality opposition, you're only going to get better from playing against opposition like they faced in this division.
Yeah, which is why I keep going back to Spain. Like Spain last year barely scraped wins against Chinese Taipei and Korea. And look at the growth. And there's other factors involved, but I just think, playing that quality opposition is so beneficial. Like there's no what do you learn from playing Mexico and beating Mexico, like 9-0? Like what do you learn from that? Like it's great, it looks good, you get some good stats, but last year's tournament, when we had to beat Latvia and the Netherlands, we learn a lot from that. And I think this year, even getting blown out by Norway and Spain, will come back stronger next year, 100%.
And it's even little things like we were ranked 4th on the penalty kill across all of the teams. And obviously you don't want to be on the penalty kill, but the fact that you're probably improving with each penalty kill as well, and things like that, you're only going to get better in all those departments.
Well, we got a lot of practice on the penalty kill this tournament, mate. So enough practice for 2 tournaments. Hopefully we don't have as much practice next tournament. But yeah.
Yep. Unless there's any more comments, Gigi, I think that just about does us for the weekly wraparound this week. I know we've had people on YouTube and Facebook tuning in. Todd, thanks for jumping on. We really appreciate it. It's good to have a chat with you. And people who are tuned in, who obviously listen to you commentate, they get a bit of a different take from you, not commentating, just how you sort of see the league as well. So thanks for coming on.
Look, huge thank you for inviting me. It was massive. I wanted to say this at the start. Long-term listener, first-time contributor. Didn't manage to get that out, but brilliant to do that, and obviously to chat in an informal setting. Normally on game day, you don't get to share some of your thoughts and comments and so forth. Having said that, though, a couple of quick shout-outs, if you don't mind. There's been some people that have given me huge support throughout this. I mentioned obviously Kylie earlier in the piece in teaching me about the rules and knowledge and things that I didn't pick up on. That's been huge. But there's been a couple of families that have been really super supportive. And I mentioned the Butlers earlier, the Edneys as well, when they were in town. They were in town from Mississauga there in Canada. They were brilliant when they were there in Melbourne at the finals. They were really super supportive. And look, I do get to do the Melbourne games in rink. So they're some of the families that I've met over the journey. You've obviously got the Duttons, the Cochrans as well, Marnie Pullen's family as well. They're always lovely and say hello. So it's a real good community there, and they've helped me a lot with my knowledge. And even some of the players reaching out in DMs, correcting me on certain terminologies and things. It's been absolutely brilliant to be able to be taken into this competition and really taken under the wing of some of these people. I've really appreciated that. And then, of course, I nearly forgot, but the Hides from Perth. both Graham and his wife have been super, super supportive. And again, really contacting me on the DMs and those sorts of things have been amazing. And a big shout out to you guys, Hockey Hype Australia, and what you do. It's a real selfless sort of thing to be able to do this, to produce this content. I know you're doing 2 pods a weekend, and I've been able to tune in from time to time, and to be able to give both of you, Gordon and Andrew, your time is unbelievable. And it's great, and it's only going leaps and bounds, and it's only hopefully result into more revenue for the competition in a competition that's starving for revenue. So more of this exposure and more of these sorts of shows and chats and everything is just another opportunity for leagues like this to grow. You guys really need to pat yourselves on the back. You're doing a brilliant job, and everybody in the community really needs to get around and support, share your content, like, comment, do it, whatever you can. But continue it, boys. It's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, and thanks. Special shout out to you too, Todd, for putting in the work and getting learning a completely new sport. It's probably I reckon hockey would be the hardest to commentate play by play, just with the 30 to 40 rotating bodies. So yeah, thank you for what you do. A couple of comments from the listeners, viewers. Danielle King, I just wanted to say I overheard a mum at the game on Saturday saying to her daughter, "That's going to be you one day." Was so cool to see and hear. Thanks so much to you guys. Also, really enjoy the game commentary and then these reviews afterwards too. That is such a cool comment, isn't it?
Yeah.
So So that's thank you, Danielle. And then she said, I think those sentiments are probably heard around the rinks as well. Tommy Harkness, having some consistency across the last couple of years with you guys has been a blessing. Thank you for your comments, Tom, as well.
What a jet as well.
Of course. Yeah.
Tommy Harkness, the coach last season. They saw him in the stripes this season. What a contributor to Brisbane hockey. Absolute legend too. Got to interview him as well. He's a ripping bloke. So I hope you can come down for finals, Tommy. It'd be great to maybe have a beer with you or something.
Yeah, we love Tommy. He's always supported us with everything. So yeah, it's great. I don't know about you, Todd, but I said this to Gordon probably a month or so ago now. This is probably with the A-Dub in terms of hockey, and Gordon and I have been involved with hockey a little bit longer than you, Todd, here. But I feel like with the A-Dub and the commentary and covering it, and you become friends with a lot of the players too. It could be across social media. You follow each other, things like that. They really appreciate it. It's for me, and it could be the same for you. I don't think I've had a more fulfilling time with hockey than I have when I'm covering the A-Dub with Gordon, doing it now with yourself, commentating. Just getting the fulfillment out of it, it really warms the heart.
It certainly does. This league is a special one. The community is special as well. Tough at times, but brilliant in others. In the beginning of my journey, it was tough, but great. Having said that, though, I do a little bit of women's sport. I do the WNBL. I do some women's footy stuff as well. And there is something special about women's sport. It is different. It has a different feel to it. And yeah, get around it and support it. But on that topic, the most fulfilling thing for me would be to have 2 female commentators doing an A-Dub game. Luana Williams and Sarah as well have joined me on special comments from time to time. I know Luana Williams has aspirations to do play-by-play, and I'm willing to help her out and work with that. And we've chatted more about it, getting her confidence and doing those sorts of things. But that would be the most fulfilling thing for me, to have 2 female commentators doing this. If there's one thing that I could do in this competition and to leave a legacy, would be to train a play-by-play commentator, a female play-by-play commentator, and have them do the A-Dub. That would be the most fulfilling thing.
Yeah, 100% spot on. I totally agree with that. I know, GG, you're going quiet.
He's on the mute there.
Oh no, yeah, I've just got this chaos in the bedroom as Tilly's having her been getting ready, gotten ready for bed. So
And that,
Yeah, that's
that
why
might
I'm
be
giving it
one
to
of the
him.
next commentators in the wings, and you're setting a great example, Gordon, by doing what you do. And I think it's a golden opportunity.
And my
Yeah,
goal is to. Yeah, sorry, no.
I was just going to say I do agree, Todd, because I know if Gordon's got his shirt tucked in at home, Tilly's like, take that. You can't tuck that shirt in. Take the shirt out.
Yeah, I have no response to that. But yeah, no, definitely. Well, she can do whatever she wants to do, so I'll support her. But yeah, I agree. It would be great to see or to hear, more women's voices in the AW and the AI. Yeah.
I think that just about wraps us up. Where can they find you? Where can they find you, Todd? Is it just the handle that's on the screen there?
Yeah, I thought I'd be cheeky and put my handle on there instead of my full name. But Todd on the mic, also on Twitter as well. Similar thing, Todd on the mic. I think it's with an underscore on Twitter. Probably should check that, but Twitter's a bit of a dying platform. But yeah, on Instagram, if you want to continue to hear my yelling across multiple sports, definitely give us a follow. Love all the support. Also, as well, if you've got any feedback, if there's something I missed in a game, there's a rule that maybe I interpreted wrong or I got something wrong, always open to that as well. And as I said on the start of the broadcast, you don't know what you don't know. So please teach me, tell me if you see something, even if you've got some good information as well on the game that we're calling. Sometimes it's been funny. Some of the milestones you don't pick up until you're in the game. You see it on socials in a period break, and then you realize it's someone's 50th or 100th game, and then you can bring it in. But anybody out there, if you've got any information on the AW, let us know. If there's any criticisms, comments, let me know so I can improve. That's all I want to do, is provide a good product for you, the audience. So let me know if there's anything I can do.
Yeah, no, I don't think people realize how difficult it can be. For example, and thank you for your help over the weekend. Things happen where you just don't get team sheets, and then esports desk, esports desk. You're like, there's a number 4 and a number 9 playing for the Melbourne Ice, but there's no number 4 and number 9 on esports desk. So you're like, these players have trained hard. They've made it to the league, and then you can't even mention their name because you just don't have that info. It's you have to laugh because the alternative is much more depressing, but you do a fantastic job given the circumstances. So yeah, thank you, Todd. I think people need to keep that in mind when they provide feedback. Is just that understanding may help. It comes from a place of passion, but still, I think people need to be aware that there's sometimes we don't have a lot to work with.
Exactly.
I think that comment could be aimed at me, GG, maybe. We are Hockey Hype Australia. You can find us at hockeyhypeaustralia.com.au, on the socials, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at Hockey Hype AUS. We are on YouTube, which we are live right now, so please subscribe to the YouTube. We chop up all these clips. We put them on YouTube for each segment. We put shorts on YouTube, so get around it and subscribe. Like, share, comment. It's the only way we're going to grow. And as we always say, if we grow, so does the league and the sport. So get around it if you can. Todd, thanks for coming on. GG, I'll talk to you during the week. Todd, on good call on the weekend, whatever game you're calling, and also the WNBL or whatever you're calling in the basketball. And we'll chat soon.
Definitely. Thank you again. It's been an absolute pleasure. You guys are absolute gentlemen, and great. Good luck on the weekend.
See yous.